Yo, what's up, guys? I've got two things to discuss. Chris Metzen returning to Blizzard full time to create the next generation of adventures in World of Warcraft, and also these leaks. These leaks right here. Blizzard fans aren't buying bleak Overwatch, Diablo, and WoW leaks. Well, some fans don't believe it because it sounds bleak. We'll read it and we'll see whether we think it's true or not, whether it's believable. And at the very least, we can have something to laugh or talk about or whatever. We'll see if it's credible or not. So this is a leak on 4chan. I remember back in the day when I was like a massive Blizzard loyalist, I didn't used to look at leaks because I'll be like, hey, that's not fair. This is a good, honest company that does great for their gamers and they want to make their own announcements in their own time. So it's really unfair if someone goes and leak it, some kind of rat on the inside. Breaking company ethics. But now I'm thinking conditions there for employees are pretty shitty from what I hear. Low pay, bad treatment, breast milk stealing. So that makes it more likely that there would be some disgruntled employee wanting to leak stuff. That leads a little bit into potentially there being more credibility to these things being true. But this could still be any random Joe. But let's just look at it and see if there's any merit. Overwatch 2 is undergoing a hasty redesign behind the scenes, relaunching as Overwatch Next, and is essentially Overwatch 1 trying to undo the damage. The damage being that Overwatch 2 promised a player versus environment mode that has been almost entirely scrapped, and it has been repeatedly delayed. And the fact that Overwatch 2's attention took away attention from Overwatch 1 and made that feel a lot less pog and hype. And then Overwatch player numbers were dropping massively. So maybe that damage? Overwatch Next. Now, here's what I know about Blizzard and renaming titles that are already out. I'm not talking about how Heroes of the Storm used to be called Blizzard MOBA or Blizzard Dota or Blizzard All-Stars. Not renames before they come out, but after they come out. Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 is essentially a rename, with content changes that other developers simply keep within their own game. Dota 2 also has changed a lot, but they don't call it Dota 2.0 or whatever. And then Heroes of the Storm also had a rebranding. Heroes of the Storm 2.0. And they since got rid of the 2.0 again, but when they did that, it was to introduce loot chests. Loot chests probably ended up not earning that much in HOTS because you could earn a lot of stuff for free. But the intent was to gachify the game a little bit more, to have more surprise elements, surprise mechanics from loot chests, and have more egregious spending from its players. Heroes 2.0 also brought a number of gameplay changes, some of them improvements, and they mostly came out before they announced 2.0. And then supposedly they were part of 2.0, but they were already out. So I remember parroting Blizzard's message about how 2.0 made sense, how it made sense to call it 2.0, even though there was nothing big like adding a reconnect system that works better, improving the replay system, adding a pause to online games, which still isn't possible. Mom! I thought maybe a better game engine with less input delay on multiple unit control, like in Vikings. But it was mostly probably a marketing play so that they are allowed to put in new monetization method. Overwatch 2 is now also charging $20 a skin. So it seems a lot like Overwatch 2 is also partially to change the monetization. Besides the fact that it dropped from 6 players to 5, added a couple of new heroes, new maps. All of those things you can do without calling it number 2. So I feel like it's mostly a marketing decision. The fact that they're undergoing a hasty redesign behind the scenes. I don't think it says a lot because technically they've already had a redesign and it is removing many of the features they promised, which by now we are very used to from Blizzard. Seeing as how Blizzard promised 4 hours of new cutscenes in Warcraft Reforged campaign, how they promised new skins that you could have for the heroes that you could earn or whatever. They promised that you could bring over your profile from old Warcraft 3 and bring over all the stats and icons that you had earned over 20 years of Warcraft. They didn't do any of those things. A new campaign, still dysfunctional in many places and bugged. They broke old things in Warcraft 3 that used to work well. Even when you don't use the new graphics set, there's still things broken, like attack animations, some sound effects. And the biggest one of all, the Blade Master in Warcraft 3 now has a shorter repeat delay block for saying one voice line twice. Before, he would only say, "Hi!" sometimes. But now sometimes he says it twice in like 2 seconds. "Hi! Hi!" And it sounds really weird to me. Especially since for like 20 years, he never did. And now sometimes he's like, "Hi! Hi!" I mean, I think that's almost unplayable, but I put up with it on a daily basis. Yeah, twice in a row. Before, it would be like spread out because there's some kind of internal delay, and that got broken and reforged. So the redesign, if that means what it means nowadays for Blizzard, it's removing features they promised and not delivering them. And I believe this. So for the number one, I believe it. Number two, Diablo 4 has lost most of its original development staff. Not unusual, by the way. It usually takes a lot more employees to build a game than to maintain a live service game. Of course, Blizzard has had many people quit their dev team before the game even came out for many different titles. Reforged lost its anti-cheat engineer halfway through development, and they never found a replacement, which is why when Reforged launched on that fateful day, everyone that tried to play the single-player offline campaign got booted out of the campaign because of a false positive flag that they were cheating. Just launching the game, installing it in all of its 90 gigabyte glory, and trying to play offline, which is not possible anymore. It's always online now, right? And then playing the campaign accidentally triggered a flag that you're cheating because the engineer was no longer there and they never found someone new. But anyway, so it's not unusual to replace some of the staff that works on things. And it also would be believable because Diablo 4 also lost most of its players and viewers. So in that sense, it was their most successful launch, having $666 million of revenue after 5 days. But now we're a couple of months hence and nobody cares about the game anymore. So in that sense, that wouldn't be that weird. So they're working on an expansion. I know Blizzard confirmed that they're going to do one expo and one expo only for D4. Like one paid DLC, but you can pay for lots of other things in game, so that's fine. And then to act as a soft reboot. Dragonflight is the remains of a cancelled mobile game co-produced with Chinese partners that was bolted onto World of Warcraft to pad a massive gap after the catastrophic response to patch 9.1. So they were going to have like a dragon flying game on mobile, and then instead they gave you the power fantasy of being able to fly dragons in the expansion, which I remember a lot of people liked initially in Dragonflight. Whatever you think of the game or the raid or the difficulty or the content, the flying thing was a cool fantasy to have. But for it to be part of a cancelled mobile game and then be a WoW expansion, I don't know. I can't judge much about this one. Odyssey has been revamped for the third time and will not be ready for multiple years at this point, with worries that its survival crafting focus is already going to be outdated by the time it releases. Hearthstone is at the lowest engagement metrics it's ever been at. Attempts to increase monetization per player has failed and it's considered on its last legs. Alright, here's my thought on Hearthstone. I think Battlegrounds is a pretty fun mode. I think it's doing pretty okay. They have like a seasonal battle pass that you can pay for to have more different heroes. I pay it. I know a lot of people that pay and play it. It's good revenue, but the question is it good enough for Blizzard? Because they want to have lots of money. Not just good money, but they want to have the mostest amount of money. And they will reallocate developers from successful game franchises to more successful ones. So Heroes of the Storm and Warcraft 3 were making money, but because they didn't make enough, they got axed and they got put on things like Diablo Immortal and stuff. What I can't see is that on mobile right now, Hearthstone Battlegrounds has this bug where if you hover over the anomaly icon, it will no longer tell you what the anomaly is. So you need to have photographic memory about the icon. This is on iPhone. And before that worked, and now it doesn't work anymore. And it's been like this for like 2 weeks. So then you think, Is there anyone working there? And then there was a guy I saw on Twitter. He, and Hearthstone Battlegrounds is quite buggy in general. And it's made on Unity, right? Makes you wonder. The Unity news recently, did that affect Blizzard's decision at all with how they view the profit forecast for Hearthstone? So, I saw there was an 18-year-long employee from Blizzard that just got fired without notice today. And then he said, I guess they don't need a tools engineer or tools manager anymore. Does anyone else want me? Yeah, Unity rolled back the changes. Oh, they're cooking something else. This is the EA guy behind Unity that wanted to charge people for getting ammunition in Battlefield or something. They'll come up with something new after the outrage has subsided. Diablo Immortal is extremely profitable. That I can believe. And its user base retention has far exceeded expectations. That is so sad. That is so sad. That is major emotional damage to all actual gamers. Yeah, it's just people being like, hey, cool, Diablo's on phone. That's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer about needing to spend for power and pay to win and stuff, but I guess if it saves me time, then yeah, why not? Yeah, it saves me a lot of time. Yeah, I mean, I can either grind for this thing for, checks notes, 6 years, or I could buy it right now and get 7 legendary crests, and I could get all my legendary items tonight. That's great. Has far exceeded expectations. So, according to these leaks, Immortal is the only one that's good, and everything else is a disappointment. So, more things like Immortal. Microsoft has expressed interest once the merger goes through to break up Blizzard as a singular entity to distribute its IPs among their studios. While closing and reallocating the billions of dollars in Californian real estate the company has been sitting on, and trying to force a return to office policy to make them look like they are still needed, Blizzard forces people to come back into the office in order to prove to Microsoft that the offices are still needed. You mean like this? So that they can stay there? To make it look like the office buildings are needed. Yeah, I guess it is possible. I remember sometimes gaming companies or people that advertise in the gaming scene and the esports scene, they have marketing budget. And then by like November, December, they are most likely to spend it on teams or players if they have any left over, because you need to use the remaining budget money that you have. Otherwise, you've proved internally to your budget giver that you do not need as much marketing budget to market the game or to market the product, and then you're going to have a smaller budget next year. So I guess inside corporate, there are a lot of parties that are not loyal to each other, but need to be loyal to themselves and make sure that they look needed. So in that sense, yeah. WoW Classic has motor players, more? WoW Classic has more players than retail or World of Warcraft right now. Cataclysm Classic is not in the works. Company is a rotating door of staff that are quickly leaving, and replacements are not sticking around long after seeking better pay and working conditions. I mean, that sounds pretty believable. Furthermore, Blizzard is allegedly planning to debut a Battle Pass style service for WoW in the near future. That's, I mean, probably. I heard a rumor that WoW is going to go free to play. Because right now Blizzard charges you to play WoW, and they charge you to buy things inside WoW. Once it goes free to play, maybe they can get more players, and then they can use all those psychologically manipulative and deceptive tools that they use in their mobile games in Diablo Immortal and stuff. 800% value. Once you're over the line with free to play, they can like reel you in to spend even more than you otherwise would in the current system. Just call it WoW 2.0, Overwatch 2, HOTS 2, change the monetization to be even more predatory. I'd play WoW for free. If it was free, sure. And then they'll have an offer for just $0.89 of 8,000% value. Just a little under $1. Just to get a little bit of an extra boost, which feels really good, to celebrate your first defeat of Hogger in WoW Classic Plus. And then Is there any news about HOTS? No leaks about HOTS. But it could be good news. Most of these leaks are negative. Be glad that there's no HOTS leak. A lot of people don't believe this. But a lot of it isn't that weird. Like, most of these aren't even that big of a surprise. Even if they're true. Okay, that's the leaks. What do you think about it? Source, trust me, bro. Yeah. And then there was this one. Chris Metzen returns to Blizzard full-time. So, a year ago, there was a really quiet, really understated, small little message that Chris Metzen returned to Blizzard. And it wasn't big news at all. It was just like, he joined, nobody talked about it much. If you knew, you knew. And he joined as an advisor. And it's funny, because he went to make his own game company, no? Like, didn't he make some kind of board game company? And you may imagine, Chris Metzen, if you don't know, he worked on Warcraft franchise. One of the founders of the Warcraft franchise, right? Like, he made all the art. He's the voice of Thrall. He's so many voices. He did so much of the art. And at some point he left, right? All the big ones at Blizzard left because Activision had more and more influence over all the decisions. Why did he leave? We don't know. My guess is that someone in his position that worked there for as long as he did is set for life with money. That would be my guess. Unless, like, I don't know, he spent it all already. And then he went to make his own company, which could just be his passion project or whatever. So for him to join back, you gotta wonder, why does he do it? Is it for money? Like, of course, you can always have more money. It can be nice. Right? But in theory, it doesn't have to be for money. Then what is it for? Is it for passion? The passion to work on Warcraft again? Possible, right? But he's also returning to a company that made Warcraft Reforged and left it broken. Something that he worked on to push out of his womb, out of his creative womb, into the world. His child has been broken by this new entity that's still called Blizzard. And he rejoins with them to start working on the Warcraft universe. That's it. I think that's interesting, right? He was burned out, now he's not. Okay. Can he fix them? Can Chris Metzen fix Blizzard from the inside? All the things that are broken, repair them? Can he have a level of influence that makes World of Warcraft great again? Will he ask people to fix Warcraft Reforged to the point where the ladder actually works and isn't broken anymore? And where is he going to come up with a new graphic set for the Warcraft 3 RTS? Which is actually good and not ass. Right? Is he going to do those things? If not, wouldn't it be a bit, I don't know, shameful to be part of the company again that created the monstrosity of Reforged's failures? Or maybe he doesn't feel like it is his responsibility or his problem. Just like, I don't feel like it's my problem. I'm still playing Warcraft, right? Am I not embarrassed to be associated with it? But then I didn't make it. Maybe he feels the same. He didn't make it, right? Then again, I'm not joining Blizzard either. And he is. He is joining the entity that made it now. So those are my initial thoughts. But here's the post. He retired in 2016, was out for 6 years, and now he's back in. Full-time role as the executive creative director of the Warcraft universe. Now, I gotta believe this is mostly WoW-focused. I feel like creatively, it's embarrassing enough to be back on Blizzard as Chris Metzen. I know that may be very judgmental, but that's my opinion. If I can't 100% know what it'd be like to be him, but if I were him, I'm not sure I would want to join again based on passion and, association to this company now. So that makes me very, very skeptically think this is just for money. He just wants to get paid again. And for Blizzard to hire him again is actually a shrewd move to once again harvest some nostalgia points from its fan base so that they can fool you one more time. That's my very, very skeptical hot take. We're excited to share that Chris Metzen has taken on a full-time role. His main focus is supporting our World of Warcraft leadership. He was instrumental in developing the foundations of the Warcraft universe. We're excited and thrilled to have him rejoin our team and shaping what's to come. At BlizzCon, he and the team will be sharing what we've been working on. We hope to see you there. So now, instead of being 100% doom and gloom, bleak, and dooming and stuff, a lot of people are going to be like, well, it was great what he did. Let's just wait and see until BlizzCon, and maybe everything's going to be great again. Oh, they call the citizens of Azeroth. How quaint. What? We're going back to the amazing lore. He's optimistic now that Microsoft has made the deal to take over, and he wants to make Blizzard more focused on its old ways, positive ones. Dude, I hope you're right, Mr. Tanso. Well, I haven't got a whole lot of faith in that. It's a oh, and then he said, his own tweet, "It's been amazing working on Warcraft again. It's like coming home." Really? It doesn't feel like home anymore. The stories we're developing right now, how the world unfolds over the next few years, well, I can't wait for y'all to see where we're headed. Next few years? We're gonna get years of content! I remember reading many PR messages. Like, oh god. You know what I remember? What Pete Stilwell said. Pete Stilwell was the lead of the Reforged reboot of Warcraft. He said something, and this is not a quote, but he said something like, Warcraft 3, like when he announced it back in, what was it, 2018? Warcraft was like 15 years old, right? He would have said something like, Warcraft over the last 15 years, this and this happened. I can't wait to launch us into the next 15 years of Warcraft 3. You know, it's a really tantalizing, attractive, seemingly innocuous soundbite when you speak of the amount of years that you've had a great time together, and then create like a little soundbite about the next years, because it shows a level of great future and commitment. If I told you guys the last 12 years that I've been streaming on Twitch has been amazing, and you guys have been an instrumental part of the journey, it's meant everything. I can't wait to see what the next 12 years hold in store for us. And you're like, oh cool, well, I don't need to worry about the future of entertainment. I've got something to watch for the next 12 years. And meanwhile, I haven't got any plans beyond tomorrow. Like, I don't know where I'm going to be, but you just say it because it sounds good. Right? 1 month later, retiring. Yeah. No, but 12 more years. So this kind of message over the next few years is like, oh wow, jolly. Many players expect Blizzard will unveil a new WoW expansion at BlizzCon. Soon, smiley face. Well, I am very skeptical about this being any kind of meaningful improvement. Let's see what happens. Best case scenario, Chris Metzen was always what made Blizzard magical. He embodies all the best tenets of Blizzard's great ethics, game making, great story building, and he's gonna fix them from the inside. At worst, well, I don't want to consider that. Most predictable, a WoW expansion comes out. Just like it was going to. And that's about it. And for the rest, nothing changes. I don't know how much or if any look for it. So yeah, I am gonna try, of course, any Warcraft 3 patches, Heroes of the Storm. This is news I'm interested in. Still playing BGs, Hearthstones, right? I'll probably try the mobile game, Warcraft Rumble. But I am very skeptical. I refuse to get hyped for any of it, and I recommend everyone not to get their hopes up after these leaks and this news. Do not get fooled by them again. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.